Good Vibras family, what is good? We are back for another episode. And if you are watching the YouTube, you can see who I have back on the podcast, Mr. Manny himself. Manny, what is up?
What's going on? What's going on, Brielle? Thank you for having me on again. I'm excited to share what's been going down past year?
Yeah, because the last time you were on here was definitely a year or a little over a year ago. And it's
Mhm.
funny because I've had people DM me, they're like, when's Manny coming back? So, guys, I answered. Manny's here. He is here today. We're going to catch up with him on a bunch of different things, see where he's at in life now. It's going to be great, great content, great wisdom, great knowledge. So I'm so excited. And I will leave all of Manny's links and everything in the bio. So do not worry because you will have access to all things Manny. A lot has happened since we've last spoke, since we had you on the podcast. We were talking about fitness, your relationship with God. You were diving into a new journey with fitness. Kind of catch us up to speed. What you doing these days? What goals have you accomplished? Like
Yeah,
what's happening?
I've been doing a lot of good things. Man, like I've exceeded my expectations in some ways, and in some ways I haven't, and that's life. A lot of times we set goals for ourselves that like I want to do this by this, and I want to do that by that. But I've learned to let go of the expectation of timing,
Mm.
because that'll eat you alive. If you want to do this by this date or this by that date, man, like we get so caught into this idea of comparison that like, oh, we have to get a job by this time, or have a business by this time, or have a spouse by this time. Like, it's
So
not
true.
your own journey is your own journey. And I'm learning to accept that more and more every single day. Like there were goals that I wanted to have. I have a website up, which is awesome. I'm excited about. It's not what I want because it's a subset of the training programs that I do. But I'm still very excited about it, and it's working. It's functional. It's dope. In addition to that, I've got my LLC. I got my LLC back in October. Official. I've trained a whole bunch of more clients. I mean, at the time that we were speaking, I had like three, four clients. Like in that spring, I blew up. I ended up getting like 10 to 12. I think at my most, I had like 14 clients at one time.
Wow.
Yeah, business was booming, especially like
Wow.
right before summer, April to June. Everybody's like, "I'm Manny out." And
Right
it was
before the
awesome.
summer's coming around, like, help me
Yeah,
get that
yeah,
booty and those abs.
yeah, yeah. That summer rush hit, and I was just busy trying to stay afloat. In addition to stuff that I was doing with the youth, like I started really stepping into my role as a youth leader. So speaking with them,
Yeah.
meeting with them, leading them, was definitely a whole nother big, massive transition. Um, what else, man? I went to a school of ministry in the fall that changed my life. It's not like when everybody hears school of ministry, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be a pastor?" Like, is that really no, it's not. It's not like that. It's not like an accredited school. I wasn't getting a degree or anything. It was just a school where you learn to use and enhance the gifts that God has given all of us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I learned so much in that track, and it's a 2 year course. They have like
Wow.
3 month semesters. So I did the first one now, but I'm taking a break in the spring just because things get crazy. I'm definitely going back in the fall, and I'm really excited to do that as well. I also moved into a new house in October. This is a new crib from when we last spoke. I'm really excited about that. Still living at home and ain't no stress with that. I don't care. Like there's such a bad conception that like you got to be out by 25 or 22.
Yeah.
Man, you know how expensive rent is, especially in Jersey. Man, it's crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
practically speaking, I don't have it doesn't make sense for me to move out. Like if I were to move, I'd be moving probably further away from everything that's already right in front of me. I'm 7 minutes from my church. I'm 12 minutes from the gym. I've got friends pretty close by. Like I have everything here. It makes no
Yeah.
sense to leave. So I'm staying until I have a reason and
Yep. Yep.
good like a good reason to leave. It makes no sense. Just save money and keep winning. Like I know some people can't stand their parents, but I love my parents and I'm pretty patient with them, and we make it work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, and you're saving money, and you know what? Everyone's story is different. Like it's true. Like there's always this pressure, like you got to get out. If you could do it and you want to do it, go for it. But if you choose to stay home and save up, that's okay too. Like everyone's journey is different. But I'm happy that you feel you're confident with where you're at. You are enjoying where you're at. Like that's all that matters at the end of the day. So
oh
that's
yeah, that's,
awesome.
mhm.
Busy bee, you are. And real quick, just a quick, because I just realized people are probably like, but who's Manny? And if you don't listen to the first episode, so Manny and I are literally, I see it, he's like my brother, but we all met when we were 4 and we grew up together. Like literally went to the same schools. Like this was the second brother that I had from a different mama. Like literally, like Manny and I go way back to when we were little, and I was his first client. Yeah, so you're in a new home. You got a lot of things happening in your life, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. New home, new everything. So 2022 was a year of newness for me in literally
Love
every
that.
way possible. Like I never did so many new things in one year than 2022. Like everything was new. Everything. New relationships, new friends, new job, new careers, new ventures, new ideas, new everything. So I'm just
That's
excited to
so
keep growing.
awesome. Yeah. Well, definitely share some of that with us. Yeah. So your fitness, I know. So you said you have a website now. You do personal training. Is that what you like? I know you do stuff in the church as well. So training, is that something you do weekly? Is that like your main project?
Oh yeah.
That's where you get your clients and everything, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, training is my main thing, and I started doing in person. I wanted to start doing more online training, honestly, because it is more sustainable. But the more I
yeah.
did it, the more I realized it's a different ballgame. Like
Yeah.
training people in person is so much different from training people, online because you're dealing with so much more self responsibility and accountability when you're online. I can, so long as somebody shows up in person, like I can push you, yeah, I could drive you to make better decisions and to be better because you're with me. You're feeding off of my energy, but you can't do that when you're online. Like I can text you, I
Right.
can send you voice memos, all I want, but at the end of the day, I can't drag you to the gym myself.
Yeah.
It's different when you're meeting with someone in person, so much
For
different.
sure.
But for people who are like self-driven and really motivated, they can get it done. I've had 2 or 3 people who really put in work and got some good results. Lost a couple inches, lost a couple pounds, got way healthier, learned a ton
Mhm.
online. But that you can't. It's hard to compare that to in person. Like at first, I started comparing myself to, I held myself to the same standard with my in-person clients as I did my online, and it's just not realistic expectations because there's so much more on the client than there is on me when it comes to online training. But yeah, that was a big lesson that I learned that there's a massive difference. And in person, I've come leaps and bounds. I've helped. At this point, I've trained over 20 clients, and
Wow.
I've got some crazy results. Like my most recent was my transformation of the year last year was my client Rohan. He was a 16-year-old baseball kid who's trying to play in college and hopefully further. And he came to me about 6'1", like 140 pounds. Like he was strong, but he was still lacking some mechanics, a good amount of balance stuff. And he's now going on like 7 months, almost 8 months with me. At the 6 month mark, and well, actually no, 7 months. No, let me be clear. We started in like July, so we were running on about 6 months. And he gained, since then, he's gained like 30 pounds of muscle. He put like 100
Wow.
some pounds on his deadlift. He turned into an absolute beast. He literally went from a boy to a man. And
Crazy.
I'm excited to see like his progress. He put 5 extra miles an hour on his pitching speed, which is a pretty
Wow.
big jump. Like he's an absolute unit. So yeah, like
You're
I
out here
definitely want to.
transforming individuals.
That's the goal, baby. That's the goal.
Yeah.
The business is called Build a Body Workshop. So you could build your own body to whatever you want,
But
whatever goals that you have, whatever goals you're trying to achieve, even sometimes what you think you want or what you might describe. Like, I understand what you mean, even though the way that you think you want or the way that you think you might need to get there might not be it. But I have a vision for every client that I have of whoever comes to me of what they want to do, how they want to achieve it. And we get practical and we get working. We get those tools out and we build that body. So yeah, like that's what I've been doing. A lot of in-person and online training. Like I'm gonna continue to take as as many in-person clients as I can handle right now, especially that it's busy season. But the end goal is definitely to transition more to online and have more online clients because it's more sustainability for me. And it's a little bit more passive on my end. I'm never gonna stop. I don't ever see myself not training people in person because I love it too
Mm,
much. Like it doesn't feel like work. Like
yeah.
it's
That's
beautiful. Like,
awesome. That's
yeah,
the goal in life. Like you
it
want to
is.
love what you do and not see it as like a hassle and like, oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do that.
Mhm.
There are moments where you're like, ah, I'm tired. But to do something you love and have that passion, it's so different.
It is.
It's not work. It's
Mhm.
not work. And that's amazing. And I know you balance your faith into your fitness as well. How do you keep that balance?
That's a good question. For a while, for the first couple of months, I didn't have a balance because it was new and it was a passion. Like, and I loved it so much that it consumed me. And like I was literally working from like working because I wasn't getting paid, but I was
Yeah.
learning about the back end stuff of business and taxes and trying to build a website and learning about how to train people online and just learning about all of these things at the same time that it consumed me. And I would get up at like I know like you have to get up early. I wanted to get up early to learn how to, just set myself to that time because you're just more productive when you do, period.
Yeah.
It's just a good habit to have. If you can get up early, then that's the wave. And I was getting up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, training maybe a client or two, didn't really have much, but doing everything throughout the day to just learn and practice and, figure stuff out to the point where I'd be, still working at like 10 o'clock at night. I had no work boundaries whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then, I'd squeeze in a little faith time. I squeeze in like my little prayer, my reading time, but it wasn't enough. And when it come like, I don't know, so I want to say like April or March, I dealt with some of the craziest anxiety I've ever had. Because I had
Yeah.
let my faith go to the side and like I was just trying to do it all myself and it was impossible. And I got to the point where I was like, God, like yeah, I didn't even want it anymore because it was just consuming me. I was getting like, and I'm not one to be anxious. I'm usually a pretty
Yeah.
level-headed dude, pretty chill. But I was driving myself crazy because of expectations that I had set for myself. And in addition to the fact that I was just new to it and I was
Yeah.
really unorganized in the beginning, just again, just not knowing what I was doing, just going all in. I worked myself up to going crazy, but it was in that time, like March, April, and especially May and June, where I just took more time to like really settle in and like set boundaries for work. I read a whole book. If you feel like you're struggling with boundaries, whether it's through work, relationships, whatever, I highly recommend you read a book called Boundaries by Dr. I think John Townsend and I forget the other dude.
Yes. I have the
You
boundaries
know,
in dating one. Yeah.
I don't have I didn't read the Boundaries in Dating, but I forget the other author. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. But Townsend is one of the authors.
Mhm.
Um, and that book was so good, so good. Like I learned so much about boundaries that like I didn't even know what that was, if I'm being honest, because it's something that's not really talked about.
Yes.
Like I was always, and especially me, like just naturally, I want to help people and I want to serve. And it's hard, but like it's hard for me to say no. I've always been a yes guy.
Yeah.
But if you give your yes like over and over and over, you'll won't have any time for yourself, and that's just not wise. It's not good stewardship of yourself.
Ooh, I
So
like that.
I learned that big time, and I'm still working on boundaries. I'm not by any means perfect, but I've definitely come a long way to where I can say like, all right, like my time, like from 9 to whatever, that's God time. And especially in the morning, like even my nights
Yes.
sometimes because of how late I get to work, how late I get back from work, sometimes it gets a little crazy. But in the morning, every single morning, I'm in the zone. I'm in the word. I'm taking my time to just be with God and just be still because that is so important. If you don't
It
have
really
that,
is.
especially when you come from a faith background, you had it and you lose it, you understand what you lost. A lot of people don't even understand what that is because they've never experienced it. But like
Yeah.
once you have a relationship with God and you can feel that peace and that presence, and then when it's gone, it's scary as heck. Um,
Yes. It
it's
seems
very
like
scary.
everything's good and then all of a sudden and you're like, "Oh my God."
It is, and
It's so true. So true.
and it's important to take a self reflection. Like, yo, why, like, whenever. I'm stressed or like I'm starting to get anxious, I take that as a sign as all right, I haven't been spending enough time with God.
Mm,
Because in Isaiah 9:6, Jesus says that he's a prince of peace. So what like a lot of people
yeah.
seek for peace in relationships or in money or in material things, but at the end of the day, like where better to go than the one who is peace? You know what I mean?
So
And
true. That's a
that's it's
really good point.
yeah, a lot of people know that, especially people in the faith, but it's so easy to forget when you get so caught up with everything,
Yeah.
and that's where I found myself at. But especially this past from June, honestly, June, I try and do a biannual fast. I fast, like, and I'm changing it up to like my methods. But I do every 6 months, like every June and every January at least. I take 7 days to really reflect and say like, ask, just spend time with God and be like, all right, how am I doing, God? Like, how are we on the same page?
Mm,
And just
that's
spending time,
awesome.
not even to want something from him, like because a lot of people like go to God just as a genie in a bottle, like, okay, God, give me this, okay, God, give me that. But like if you've ever experienced God's presence, it is the most beautiful and profound thing you can ever experience in your life. So like I'm at the point where I'm like, God, I don't even want anything, I just want you. I just want
Mm,
to take time to get to know you and just be still and just hear what you want to tell me, because God is always speaking. It's just a matter of we're taking time to listen to what he's saying.
no,
The
that's
Bible says
that's
that
so
the creation
true.
speaks of his glory.
And you also see the difference in how your life, like your everyday life, when you do include God into the picture, it's very different. Like you said, with your clients, like you don't look for them, they come to you. God blesses you. Just stay committed to him and everything's going to fall into place. And it's easy to, I know me, I'm definitely like, I got to control this. I got to control this. You also have to let God like take the wheel too. Do your part, but remember who's the author. Like there's so many goals and things that we want to achieve, and sometimes we lose sight of him, and how can we achieve all that without him? Like it won't lead to a path of success. And that's taken me a couple bumps in the road to realize like, hey, like without God, I'm nothing. Like he adds to my life. He helps me get to the things, the places that I want to be at, like I feel like people think Christians have to be these perfect people, and that's not the case. Like I always make it known, like, listen, like I'm a Christian, faith is important in my life, but I have messed up plenty of times. I'm not the perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. But I'm gonna keep it real. You can get to a higher place. Like with you, you realize you were getting focused on your career and consumed, but you were starting to not give God enough time. And you were like, whoa, let me fix that. And now look at where you are. Like you found that perfect balance. And I know you do a lot. What's like the best, what keeps you in a routine? Like I know you got a routine.
Yeah, I have a routine, but honestly, it's pretty fluid. I'm not gonna lie, just because of how my schedule varies so much. Like there's some
Yeah.
days where, I'll have a client which I don't like right now, but I'm making it work. Where I'll have a client who usually meets at me at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, and they're like, "Wait, I can't do that day. Can we do like 7 p.m. the other day?" And like depending on where I'm at, I'll make it work. But a lot of times, I'd say like going back to if I could define a routine, I always start with getting up, praying, reading. If I have to
Mm,
get up really early to train, like sometimes I get up, I have clients at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I have group class at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll just get up, do what I have to do, train, and then spend my one-on-one time in the gym. And like that's another thing too. Like you don't have to just pray in your room. The
yeah.
Bible says to pray continuously. Like I'll be praying on my ride in the car. I'll be
Yeah.
praying like up at the gym, like doing whatever, with whatever time I have, and it doesn't have to start off as like this hour devotion. Like just 5 minutes, just time to reflect is important throughout the day. But yeah, that's where I've found everything. And from there, I like to get a little bit of client stuff out. Just reach out to all the clients that I have, just ask them how they're doing, how's everything going on. And I've also gotten better at delegating different tasks, like setting days to do stuff. Like, for example, Wednesday, I do a
Nice.
lot of stuff for the youth and stuff that I do in church. Same with like Fridays, for example, I work on like I review like my finances for the week, like how I did training wise, and just review that stuff. Mondays, just like usually an assessment day, like a reset day. I give I request like body stat results and stuff from my clients, like measurements, inches and stuff. I track a lot of that in the morning, or yeah, Monday morning, do a lot of tracking, also do a lot of social stuff. Tuesday especially, I've been doing on social media, I'm pretty active, especially Instagram. I've been doing what's called Technique Tuesday, where I'll break down exercises that I'll give my clients or that I'll do myself personally, and just explain like
Nice.
what it is, how it can help you, what the purpose is, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm getting better at picking certain stuff for certain days, but life happens and it's far from perfect. But I try my best to keep that regular structure. And on the weekends too, for example, either Saturday or Sunday, I'll take a time to just reset, to clean, to have some downtime. Try my best to do
Yes.
that. So
That's really
yeah,
important
that's
that you
mhm.
have that balance because it's so easy to just make every day a day of work. Do work, 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 work. Gotta work on this, gotta work on that. But like you said, you give the weekends, this works for you to reset, to kind of relax, to kind of decompress. You have to do that. We definitely
Yes,
live in a hustle culture where it's like
yeah,
frowned upon if you take a moment to relax. And it's like, no, you need
hmm
that. You have to be able to recharge to fully give your 100% best to your craft. And that's important. I love that you have that balance. I'm big on routines. Manny's literally like your routine. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like waking up early, like I'm big on that. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. Like you gotta make time to read, you gotta make
right.
time to pray. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, let's
For
get
you,
the day started. And
good
you
for
also
you.
have to do what works for you. Thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
you have to do what works
yes.
for you and the TikToks and everyone's social media, you could drown in it. Everyone's lifestyle, like you got to wake up at this time to be successful. I think everything is dependent on your situation. Like waking up at 5 a.m. works for me. Waking up at 7 or whenever you wake up works for you. I love that you brought out, the importance of resting as well. You need to develop a routine, but you also have to have that balance. And I like that because you don't hear that a lot from people is having that balance. And I think that's probably why, I mean, in addition to your faith, you've been super successful and so focused. Like even, us trying to, we keep in touch every so often. You're a busy dude, but I've noticed you're very, very in tune with your routines and just making sure that you make time for all the little things that are important to you, that are a
hmm
priority, and you don't
And
neglect that.
all the people too. One
Yeah.
of the things I never wanted to do was get so caught up in business that I lose friends. And like, yeah, there's some people where if I'm going in one direction, if God is steering me one direction, I'm following Him. And some people are like, if I'm going left in that direction, some people are going right. Like, there's gonna be a bigger
Mm,
distance, but like, I'm gonna make sure that hey, like, if I want to spend time with you, I'm gonna be intentional. I'm gonna set time aside. I'm gonna put it in my schedule. I'm
yeah.
gonna put it on my calendar, because the most important thing in my life, hands down, is the relationships that I have with the people,
Yeah.
with the
You're
people I
very
love,
good with
period.
that.
And like you have to do that. Like the most valuable thing that you could ever have is relationships with people. Like so many people get caught up in money. Money's ain't it. Like money is not it at all. Like one of the most
Tell it to the people
profound
in the
dudes,
back.
one of the best speakers I ever heard speak to me. He told me that relationship is the currency of the kingdom. And I don't know, some people might like misunderstand that or not, get what that means. What
Yeah.
that means is like God will give you more the more you can steward the relationships that you have. Like the better you take care of the relationship that you have, he will give you not only more relationships, but more success, more of everything. Because he's a
It's
good
so
father and
true.
he'll give you what you can handle. Like a lot of people get frustrated, like, oh, why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Well, to reflect on what you've been given and how are you stewarding what you have? Because if you're not a good steward now, he's not going to give you more. Like if my kid can't handle like his bike that I gave him and he wrecked it and crashed it, why would I give him a motorbike or a car? It's not going to happen. So God's the same way. He's a good father. He's not going to give you something that you can't handle as much as you might want it or you might think you want it. He knows that
Yeah.
if he were to give it in the wrong time, it would destroy you. Like the blessing in the wrong timing is a curse. So
It's so
yeah,
true.
it's
And that
very
just shows you how
important.
much he loves us. I know my personality type, like I'm always focused on like I get what I need and then I'm like, okay, I'm shooting for the next big thing. And it's like, appreciate what you have. And also realize there's a reason why you were given this now. Utilize that. Like,
Like I said on the first podcast, Albert Einstein said God's or coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Like everything that like the people that you have in your life, the situations that you have, the struggles, the frustrations, those are all intentional. Like God has placed you. He's God is too smart and too sovereign and too perfect to not
yeah,
put you in places intentionally to have things, for you to fulfill your purpose and to develop into the person that he's made you to be, even though you might not understand it and it's stupid to you and it's frustrating and it's angry. But the closer you go to him, the more he'll make sense of the broken pieces that you have. And if you give them to him, he'll give you something beautiful that you never even thought could happen. I never saw myself as a business owner ever, ever. I was like, I was too lazy for that. I didn't want to do that. Look at me now. I got my own LLC. I'm training clients. Like I'm doing this thing, but it's not because of me. Like this is, I said this before, it's a God idea. It's not a good idea. And there's a difference.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
I'm just following him, and wherever he want to take me, shoot, I'm running because I know that he knows what's best, and I'm just stepping and following that in every single aspect of my life. Like literally, all of it's aligned to that. Because if it's not, then you can be successful outside of it. Like a lot of people say, like you said, you can't be successful. I think you can be successful outside of the will of God. But if you are, you're gonna have to carry it on your own strength. And good luck with that, fam, because that is tough. I can't tell you how many people, like so many people, are crushed under the weight of the burdens that they carry on themselves. When God never asked us to do all that, He asked us to give Him our burdens because His yoke is easy and His burden is light. And people forget that, and then they wonder why they're like they feel like they can't breathe because they're so suffocated. You were never meant to carry. A lot of us pick up stuff that we was never meant to carry,
Yeah.
and then we wonder why we're like
Why we're
hurting.
drowning and in pain. It's like, oh wait, I did
Yeah.
this to
And
myself.
God's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like I didn't ask you to do that. And we won't know until we get close to him. And it's crazy. Like how sometimes we do it to ourselves, we don't even realize that like
Yeah.
it's either somebody else to tell us or like just our own self-reflection to be like that. Man, I did all that for what? Like what? Why did
It's
if you don't have
so
that time to
true.
reflection, you'll never realize that. That's why it's so important to just take time to rest too.
It really is. You have to be in tune with yourself. And if you're constantly being stimulated and distracted, you're not going to be feeding into that part of your mind and soul that you need to feed into.
Yeah,
So
man.
rest is super, super, super important.
Yeah, we live in a
Emphasis on the super.
we live in a world of distraction. Like
Yeah,
just globally, I was doing research a while back. Like we live in the world's largest consumer economy. We're
right.
always taking stuff in, always, always, always. We got so much stuff that we need separate places to store the stuff that we can't even fit in our own houses and our own
Yeah.
apartments. Like it's crazy. The largest storage market in the world is here in the U.S. In 2017, 90% of storage units all over the world were here in the United States. Like that's wild. We
Crazy.
we don't know how to stop. We're just go go go, and like
Yeah.
that's not how God designed it. Like He made a seventh day of rest. I'm reading a whole book on. It's called Shabbat. It's a book by a Jewish dude, but he wrote it for people like who aren't Jewish to understand like the Sabbath. Like it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I respect about Brielle and what her family does with being Seventh Day Adventist. Like you guys honor the Sabbath, and I always like respected that. I was like, dang, yeah, like I wish I had one day where like or just 24 hours where I just did like nothing and could just rest. I'm sure that's so refreshing and like that's such a healthy
Yeah.
habit to continue and to like move forward. And like a lot of like back in the day, like Sunday was that day of rest for a lot of people, but now it's like it's not that no more. Like people don't get rest, and that's why you see people overworked.
Yeah.
Like you're so much more efficient when you have time to rest. A practical example is Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A they always closed on Sunday. And
Yep.
because they're closed on Sunday, they make more than any other fast food chain combined. Like they make more than Burger King, more than McDonald's, when exponentially more, yo. Like the
Yep.
average Chick-fil-A franchise owns like 3, 4 times more than any of them, McDonald's, Burger King, whatever, because they have a good, healthy habit of rest. And the workers that are there, when they're there, they're on it, they're focused, they're moving, they're efficient
Yes.
with the time that they have. And like I've heard stories of like even other people pushing to have just shorter work weeks because most people are just overworked. And if they had more
Burnt out
time
and
to just
everything.
be efficient with the time that they had and they had more consistent rest, they would actually get like more done, if not the same amount done in less time
It's
because they
so
knew
true.
that they know that they have more time to rest. Like
Yep.
we just as a culture, we need some rest.
Yep. And I'm so big on like, making that known in my podcast and just when I talk to people in person. So I love that you brought that up because that's exactly what I stand by. Like, there's going to be times in life where maybe you won't have a full day to have a Sabbath, a day of rest, but because of, life can happen. You can achieve your goals, but give yourself that time of rest. And Chick-fil-A is a perfect example. They don't need to work on Sunday to make more money. They're out here leading the industry and their customers are sweet. Now, I don't eat meat, but I did go to Chick-fil-A because my boyfriend wanted me and they were so nice. It was my first Chick-fil-A experience. I'm like, wow, and they're so nice. Wow. but they stay true to, hey, no, we're closed on Sunday. And I respect them for that. I have more respect for people who do take that time for rest because, let's make that the trend, set that as a trend. You have to take care of yourself. You can't be consumed by everything in this world and burn out because that's what's happening. People are burning out. And
Right.
Manny, I just want to say thank you so much. You have really just brought so much things to light, so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so much growth in you. And I'm so happy to have had you on my podcast. This episode is going to be such a blessing. It was a blessing for me. Learned so much, and I'm like bouncing off of those days. I'm like, I'm going to include that in my routine too. Like that's Vibras is for. I want us to all I want you guys to connect. I'm so proud of you. Like I said, I've known you since you was 4, and just to see where we are in life now and how we've all grown so much. I know you and Brandon still hang out and stuff, and I'm sure it's like, wow, we're adults now, but look at how far we're coming and look at how far we've grown. And I just want to say thank you so much for always staying connected, no matter how busy you are. And, again, thank you for coming on the podcast. You have shared so much knowledge and wisdom, and I'm proud of you. Big sis is proud. And,
Thank you, Ria.
seriously, thank you.
No, thank you, homie. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me this platform to share just what I've been going through and what was my journey's been like. And like I've told you before, like I think you're gonna blow this up so long as you're consistent with it and
Yeah.
you put the work in and you put God first, girl, it's gonna blow up. Like if it's meant for you, it's gonna happen, and you're gonna find yourself doing this like because you love it, like, and you're gonna be
Yes.
making money from it, like period. I've
That's
told
the
you this
goal.
before. So
On a
again,
nice stage, I
yes,
think of like a little room, and I just
yeah.
have people come in and we sit on a couch and we just talk.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 just vibing. I could definitely see you doing it.
Right? With the Good
Um,
Vibras neon sign in the back.
oh
I
yeah,
would love
yeah.
that.
I could definitely see that happening. So, keep doing you, girl. Keep killing it. Keep bringing good quality people like myself on here. Like I thank you that you've been able to recognize the real ones and keep the real ones close. Because it's so important, man, to acknowledge who's like really there for you. Like Brielle knows that I got her back, period, no matter what. And she knows the same for me. So it's important to keep those relationships close because it's
For
hard to
sure.
find these days. It really is.
Very hard. Thank you so much, Manny. I really
Mhm.
appreciate it. And I definitely will want to have you back on again, of course. You're the
Yeah.
second person on this episode. Well, first guest, my first guest,
Yeah.
I think. And now
Hmm.
you're here for a second time. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Round 2. And like Brielle mentioned in the beginning of the episode, all my stuff, if you want to connect with me, learn about personal training, learn more about me, all that stuff is
On the
down below.
bottom.
So get right. All right. If you want to build the best version of yourself, head over to Build a Body Workshop.
Love it. Well, Good Vibras family, that's all we got for you today. So make sure you leave a review, any comments or anything. Thank you so much for tuning into Good Vibras.
And remember, stay blessed, not
Not
stressed.
stressed.
Love ya.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.